Here we are for another episode of the Drone Wars. Yeah, let's just take a look at the board here in front of us. It seems the pirates have taken over almost everything. Right now, it's pretty much just Federation and Delta shipyards just struggling to come up with a way to counter each other and the pirates. So I think the pirates are the bigger threat. Somehow the New Galactic Alliance still has a single planet, but I don't think it'll last all that long, as pretty much every single other faction is around them. We're gonna see what happens here. I'm actually really interested to see if the Federation or Delta Shipyards manages to find a way to counter the pirates' advance. Alright, so the first action that the Federation is going to do, the Federation is going to move one of their older fleets down into pirate territory to try to at least distract the pirates away from everything else, and also see if they can get behind enemy lines. So yeah, they've sent their fleet to suspend down here in the Reach Forest. They're sending it down to the canyons of this planet here, and they're going to take on a fortress world with these 4 ships. So we're going to see if that successfully goes through. If not, then that's unfortunate. But if they do, then it gives the Federation a really good option for actually going behind enemy lines here, which would be fantastic. Alright, here we are in the canyons of Spilskananke. I think that's how the planet's pronounced. Anyways, here we have the Federation fleet, and there's a fortress down that canyon down there. So this fleet here needs to figure out how to take out that fortress without falling victim to it. So we're going to see if they're actually able to successfully take out the fort. You can see immediately there's some missiles being fired here. And pretty much immediately these ships are being hit by enemy fire. You see the corvette's now starting to move in very quickly. I think a shot actually did go through it and go through the other ship. So that was pretty scary. Luckily, it looks like they haven't taken any fatal damage. Long-range cannons are already starting to be fired. There's already some railguns going in. I think this ship has taken some really critical damage there. It's torn all the way through its armor, but it's still alive somehow. And now it's gone to a range where it's more comfortable. You can see all the other ships are now moving in, doing whatever damage they can. There's already missiles coming in. There's also missiles coming from these ships. A lot of firepower going in. This corvette's still holding pretty strong. Its armor is managing to hold up for the most part. As you can see, there are some missile defenses being fired around here and lots of railgun. The main cannon over here seems to have been disabled. It's mostly just the smaller turrets now. These frigates are getting very close. It looks like they're going in for a ram. Yep. They're going specifically just to take out the, well, just to make sure the main turret's gone, and then they're going to go ahead and try to finish off everything. I really don't think there are any offensive turrets left. They're all pretty much destroyed here. So I guess that's a victory for the Federation. It seems like the frigates are also still active. They may have ramped into the station here, but I'm pretty sure they're still flight capable here. Yeah, they are flight capable. So that's that for this battle. We're going to go back to the board and update it as needed. Alright, so with that battle completed, the Federation has actually gone a bit of a foothold over here. They've turned that into another mining world to go ahead and boost their income. And of course that gives them a bit of space where they can then expand and take over the pirates' territories from behind, hopefully splitting the Pirate Empire into 2 different pieces, or multiple if they really are careful about how they approach this. Now, the Federation's second action, they've decided to go and take one of their lone carriers out here, and of course they know they're not going to win against that kind of fleet there. So instead they're taking a different approach. They're actually going to fortify this position over here by moving over here to this planet. They've captured it and turned it into a fortress world, which will at least protect this area a little bit and make it a little more difficult for either faction to get past here. They're kind of just trying to create a wall here, it seems, which is pretty effective. I mean, they are managing to gather a bit of land in this area here, while all the way over here they have their own areas that are being contested by other factions. Okay, and then the final action of the Federation, they're going to go ahead and attack Delta shipyards. So they've already taxed Pirate Empire twice, and now they want to deal with Delta shipyards here. If they manage to take over more of Delta shipyards territory, then that gives them a bit of a boost they can use against the Pirate Empire. So I guess that's the reason why they're doing that. So they've taken a fleet from the Reach ocean planet there, and they're taking it over to the Alien Lake to go ahead and take on this this battleship and Lone Viper corvette here. After they complete this, they'll have to go ahead and take on a fortress world, and we'll see if they lose any ships in that battle. So yeah, we're just going to jump in and see how this goes for the Federation. Well, here we are on the alien planet, and we're at the lake. So here you can see that there's 2 fleets here. There's a Federation fleet, which you can see is quite large and very powerful. Off in the distance we have the Delta Shipyards fleet, which is not as powerful, but they might be able to do something. So we're going to go ahead and declare war here. We're going to see which faction comes out on top here. You can see there's missiles being fired already. On both sides. There's already some cannons being fired. There's definitely some railguns going around as well too. There's actually cannons going both ways. Yeah, all these ships need to be very careful here because this is a bit of a long-range battle. If that corvette isn't careful, it's just going to get wiped out immediately. You can see there's a lot of shots going in. Ouch. There goes a railgun. This corvette needs to do everything it can to take out those fighters before they get too close. I think it's currently having some hydrogen issues and it's probably going to crash into the ground here. Alright, that's that corvette wiped out. And now over here you can see this battleship is trying to keep its distance. There's a lot of shots going. Those fighters are going to cause absolute havoc. There's a lot of missiles being fired from this battleship here to go and take out as many of those as possible. There's some more missiles coming in as well. This point defense is flying in all directions. These fighters are still doing everything they can. Definitely taking a lot of damage from the distance and is trying to stay away as these other ships are trying to close the gap and get closer. something important now that I'm taking out here. So it's kind of just sitting there. Cannons are still firing, so he's still trying to do whatever he can to survive here. That Duke is getting very close, and that's going to do a lot of damage. Yep, here it comes. Yeah, I don't know if this ship's hull is going to be able to take much more. It's definitely going to sink soon at this rate. There's a lot of cannon coming in. There's entire chunks coming off of it now. There it goes. Yeah, that's the entire Delta shipyard's fleet dealt with already. Because they were just making sure that ship is absolutely dead, and I'm pretty sure it's going to fall down and just collide with the lake there. So with that done, we'll see how many Federation ships are actually left. They still have their carriers, their corvettes, their frigates, and their battleships. So we're just going to go ahead and move back to the board and update it there. And then we'll see what Delta Shipyards does in response. Well, before we go straight to the board, there's actually one last thing that the Federation has to do, and they have to actually take out the fortress world that was there. So you can see here, the Federation has their fleet, their carrier has restocked their fighters, and they're preparing to go ahead and attack that fortress in the distance there. That fortress is going to prove to be really dangerous to these ships, so they have to be really careful. Yep, all these ships are now starting to move in close. They're going to do whatever they can. As you can see, there are missiles being fired. They're going to do everything they can to eliminate that fortress. A lot of shots coming in here, and there's already some missiles being fired as well. These missiles are definitely going after the fighters, so I've decided to push ahead from the rest of the fleet. The rest of the fleet is kind of just slowing down and keeping their distance, so that way they don't get eliminated immediately. You can see over there, this this carrier decided to take a different approach and is deciding to attack from the side. They're basically flanking the fortress, which has actually proven to be really effective. All the shots from these fighters are definitely going in and doing as much damage as possible here, while the main brunt of the force is over there. But this side attack is definitely proving to be an extremely effective strategy. And the fortress definitely can't defend against that. Just like that, all of the remaining defenses have been eliminated. I don't think there were any major losses over here. It seems like all the larger ships are perfectly intact. Even the corvettes are fine. So we're gonna go back to the board and actually update it now. Okay, well, some interesting things are happening here. Delta Shipyards decided that instead of going for an offensive approach, they're going to go for more of a defensive approach. So they've go ahead and built a new fleet to kind of just defend themselves a bit. Just make sure they have their 5 fleets total, and then they've gone ahead and moved it over here to this colony world to give them a little bit more of a defensive barrier here in case the Federation decides to push forward, so they can defend their lands there. Then they've also moved their lone cruiser that was just here on this alien desert planet for a long time. They've moved it up to the Teralis City to go ahead and bolster the numbers up there and also act as a bit of a wall there to prevent the Federation from pushing forward. So that's kind of an interesting thing going on here. Those are the 3 actions from Delta Shipyards. Now up next is the Pirate Empire, and the Pirate Empire is, they're not happy with what the Federation has done over here, so they're going to go ahead and try to eliminate whatever nearby threats are here. So they're going to take one of their really powerful fleets of the super carrier, and they're moving it over here to the Alien Mountains to take on this Duke carrier and the freshly built fortress world that's here. So let's see if that Duke can actually take on this many ships. I don't actually know if it'll win, but it might have a small chance of being able to do some damage. We'll figure it out when we get there. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. So as you can see here, here's the Pirate Empire's fleet. They have a lot of fighters. They have their super carrier there, and then they have their frigate. I believe this is actually the first fleet that had the super carrier, so not quite sure how that's gonna go here, because they are taking on one of the Federation's most powerful ships, the Duke carrier here. If the Duke plays this really smart, it might actually be able to do some damage, but that super carrier might just shred it. We'll see if it actually has enough defense to be able to do some proper hits. So we're going to go ahead and declare war here just to watch this battle unfold. Those fighters are going to immediately take on that carrier, but that carrier is going to immediately fire some missiles. The Duke needs to focus its point defenses on taking out as many of those missiles as possible and getting close, so that way its other railguns can start taking out ships. As you can see, there's a lot of missiles coming in. Okay, those lasers need to focus on taking out as many of those as possible, because there's a lot. And some of them did go through, but the shields held up just about enough. Now he needs to move in to get close, and he needs to do as much damage as physically possible. Those fighters are going to be a problem, and there's more missiles moving in here. This is going to end up becoming fatal, so yeah, that carrier needs to really focus on doing as much damage as it's physically able to. You can see all these missiles going out. And now those railguns are starting to get into action. And those lasers are starting to go into action as well. Now, if he can use his main cannon to disable the larger ship over there, he might have a chance. But if not, then he's going to, ouch. A lot of torpedoes coming in. He's taking some major hits, but he's still flying. I believe his main weapon is down as well, so he's unable to use that. Alright, so this Duke really needs to do everything it can to shoot all these ships and bring them down. Those lasers need to be firing as well, and those fighters need to really move in and do as much as possible as well. Over here you can see that these ships are still doing whatever they can. I believe there were some small collisions over here, or actually those might be railgun shots that have done this damage. So if anything, they might be able to take out the frigate at least. Maybe a large portion of fighters as well. You see more missiles are being fired here. And the Duke is struggling. It is doing whatever it can to take out these fighters, of which there are many. See some evasive maneuvers going here. If he manages to get close enough, those torpedoes won't actually be able to do anything. I think it's going to have to deal with laser fire, so that's going to be tricky. Well, fighters are actually starting to move in now, so those are going to do even more damage to the shields here. If those shields can go down, then maybe it might stand a chance. As you can see, they're aiming towards this frigate here. And now they've gone just about within laser range as well. Those fighters are proving to be excellent distractions. But the super carrier is still holding on pretty well. Those shields aren't going down just about yet. Now the laser going in both directions here. The Duke is trying everything it can. He's taking some really big hits here. This frigate here is also turning around a little bit. You see there's a lot of torpedoes being fired here. They're all going to start moving towards that carrier. Yikes. I hope he still has some point defenses active. And it looks like those torpedoes are going to hit. They're going to do some insane damage here. So some fatal hits. The carrier's still somehow holding, or actually it might be falling at this point. It's taking some critical damage. It's still holding on, doing whatever it can. The super carrier is still taking a lot of damage here, and pretty soon it might have its shields go down. You see there's a frigate down here that's still alive. So it does appear to be going down somewhat. Oh yeah, it's definitely going down. Those railgun hits are doing a lot to it. At least with this ship down, that means that this large fleet here will be a little bit weaker as well. Yep, I believe that frigate has gone down for sure. So now that that's done with, it's just these two ships just exchanging railgun fire and lasers. As you can see, there are some fighters moving in here as well, so he's trying to take out these fighters too. If I can decrease the amount of fighters just enough, then I'll weaken the overall forces here. Super carrier is going sideways here. It's trying to do some evasive maneuvers here, trying to step away. There's a lot of laser fire going out after the other fighters have crashed down there. Now he's slowly starting to turn around to go after the other carrier. Very slowly. If anything, he might actually collide with this mountain here. Which would lower his shields just enough to give the Duke a fighting chance. He's trying to get airborne a little more here. And actually, this is giving the Duke a chance to take out all those fighters as well. There we go, collision imminent. So I managed to lower the shields on this ship. And now it's trying to turn out of the mountain here, at least a little bit. Yeah, that's definitely not good for that carrier, but it's still flying and still doing whatever damage it can. The Duke here is moving in as well and is doing whatever damage it can to the fighters down below. Definitely a lot of missiles being fired here from all of the from all these fighters. Okay, now that the shield on that carrier is down, it might actually have a chance of doing some damage here. Now I will note that this carrier isn't exactly down, it's just kind of just stuck in the mountain here. So if it decides to, it could actually get itself unstuck and then continue moving through. As long as it's still flight capable, it's technically not down yet. There's a lot of laser fire coming in. There we go, lots of railguns are charging, preparing to fire. There's a lot of exchange of fire going on here. There's a lot of big explosions here. This Duke might be going down pretty soon. It's only got a few thrusters keeping it up. That doesn't look healthy. There's entire chunks coming off. I think that's the entire back section of the ship completely removed. So that means the rest of this carrier should be going down really soon. You see there are missiles being fired over there. That's a collision. All the debris inside the ship is shotgunned forward, cutting the ship in half. That is a lot of damage. And the rest is just gonna roll down the mountain here. And that ship fought really valiantly in this battle, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. Looking through, you can see the Mjolnir is still alive, and looking at the amount of fighters left over around here, there's still plenty of active fighters. That frigate did go down, so at least there's that. But for now, that is a victory for the Pirate Empire. Alright, we're back to the board. So yeah, the Pirate Empire has successfully taken over that world, which is actually a fortress world. But of course, we know that that Pirate Empire fleet would have just instantly won against that fortress, so we're not really going to include that in the video here for time. And we're just going to move over here to the opposite side of the board, because the Pirate Empire wants to use their other actions over here. So their second action was actually to go and take over this planet up on the top right, using one of their other fleets. And then they're going to take one of their other extremely powerful fleets. They're going to go from the Trident Mountains over here, and they're going to deal with the shipyard up here in the Moonfields. So in order to do that, they have to take out all of this. You know, with a fleet like this, they probably might win pretty easily. So we're going to see if they successfully do that, and then we'll see what happens at the end of the video. Alright, we've got quite the battle here. I'm pretty sure that the Pirate Empire has the upper hand in this battle. As you can see, they've got a lot of fighters, lots of ships with a lot of missiles, and they've got pretty much anti-everything in this fleet. While off in the distance over here, we have the Federation fleet that is defending. You know, they do have quite a few mostly missile ships. They got one type of cannon corvette and some fighters here. I don't know how well they're going to do against this. If anything, their missiles might do a little bit of damage, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do enough. So they need to use their point defenses all in unison to be able to take away all those missiles, but there's going to be some pretty heavy losses early on. So you can see there's a lot of point defenses working over there. Luckily their missiles are very fast. They're all deciding to go after that ship over there. In the meantime, all these torpedoes are moving in, and there is a lot going on here. Oh, they're going to hit really hard. The entire nose of this cruiser is gone in just a single strike. In the meantime, the rest of these ships here are going to be doing everything they can. You can see there's definitely fighters and corvettes moving in, but they're taking quite a bit of damage from that railgun fire. These ships over here are going to do everything that they can, because there's a lot of railgun going in all directions. That actually might be pretty good, because these fighters are proven to be really effective. Unfortunately, there's a lot of anti-fighter going on here. So these fighters are going to have to do as much as they can. And that super carrier is just charging through, trying to close the distance. This corvette's definitely going to be going down soon. It's doing everything it can, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The burst fire cannons definitely doing everything it can to take out those other fighters start moving in. There's definitely a lot going on over here. These other ships are going to be firing their missiles and they're going to try to do as much as they can. There's the fighters moving in now. The fighters are providing a bit of a screen, distracting turrets away from the main target, which is that super carrier. That super carrier is just charging through and just ripping these other ships apart. There's still a lot of missiles being fired from these ships over here, and they're doing everything that they can. You can see that they're firing all of their anti-fighter weaponry. The sooner they can eliminate all those fighters, the better. And all these other large ships are definitely moving in closer. Yeah, that Corvette's definitely going down. I don't think it has any more active thrusters, so it's pretty much out of the battle here. These frigates are trying to step back away from the fight here because, of course, the enemy ships are moving in really close. There's a lot of railgun moving in and attacking this cruiser, which is definitely trying to get away from the battle here. The cruiser knows that if it gets too close, it's going to get eliminated pretty much instantly. If it just about keeps its distance, it'll be able to use those missiles for longer. Now it seems like they're just skipping past these frigates. They're leaving the frigates to deal with all the other ships. They're after that cruiser. See, there's a lot of shots going out through here. There are some cannons being fired as well. Let's teleport my character over here. These frigates are desperately trying to do everything that they can, but there are enemies in all directions here. And then we have this ship over here that's also moving in, doing everything it can. It is definitely taking some damage to its thrusters, but it's definitely holding on pretty well. This cruiser is still trying to keep its distance and it's firing everything it can. Those railguns are going to shoot it down eventually, if it doesn't do enough damage to these. Seems like the point defenses are keeping them at bay. In the meantime, the remaining frigates are doing everything they can to survive. It looks like they are really quickly being shot down. But they're definitely proving to be very survivable in this attack here. You can see there's a lot of fighters going after this this frigate here. And it's firing as much as it can at this battleship over here that is very clearly distracted. But it's definitely doing whatever damage it can to this other frigate over here. cruiser's definitely survived a lot longer than expected. And it's definitely firing missiles, which are slowly hitting its target, but not enough to do the damage that's needed. You see all these lasers are going after the fighters that are left here, going after debris and stuff. This lone fighter here is just being completely torn apart. I'm actually surprised there's still frigates in the fight here. If they can do enough damage, they might be lucky enough to take out this battleship in the back, or they might be able to take out all these fighters, which should definitely help to weaken this fleet. This battleship is very heavily armored though, so it's going to take a while. They just have to hope that the cruiser can distract them enough for them to pierce the armor. And even then, these frigates need to do a good job at dodging everything if they don't combust under all these attacks. There's definitely a lot of railgun coming in from the back over here. It appears they're still going after the cruiser back there, but that cruiser might have taken quite a bit of damage, so now it looks like these are starting to switch targets. And this cruiser is actually starting to move closer now, which is a bit of a change of pace in this battle. I think this cruiser is just about realized that it's not going to be able to do much because its main weapons are basically gone. So if that's the case, perhaps it's going in for a final ramming attack, but I don't think it's going to be able to do that. It is rapidly running out of thrusters and it doesn't have the armor to survive that. It still has some cannons in the back, but now it's getting within laser range. Yeah, I don't think this cruiser is alive anymore. There's quite a lot going on there. And the game might have crashed. And we're back in the battle. The game crashed because there was just way too many explosions, so now we're back and we're going to see what's left here. These frigates are definitely still down here and they're firing as many missiles as they're capable of firing. There's a lot of railgun being fired out here. Seems that these ships are still after that cruiser, which at this point has been completely obliterated. So with that cruiser finished, now these ships are going to turn around and focus on the frigates. And these frigates seem to be focusing on the fighters that are around the place, but also the battleship that is over here, I believe. There it is. The battleship is definitely doing a lot of damage, but these frigates are actually really small, so it's a bit hard to hit them. And their armor is holding up surprisingly well. If this battleship isn't careful, it might actually crash down to the planet. And I believe that's what's going to happen here, is the hydrogen systems seem to have gone out. We might actually see a kill on the Pirate Empire side here, and a major one at that. Yep, here it comes. There you go, that battleship has actually been defeated. That's actually surprising. The frigates have managed to actually defeat a battleship. So from here, that means the frigates just need to focus on other targets. Let's actually try to see where everything is here. You can see there's definitely a lot of fighters here that are still active. And in terms of remaining frigates, I'm not quite sure how many are left. You can see there's one here that's being shot down. That's because there's a battleship and a supercarrier up there, just finishing them off. Then once this frigate is done for, they just have to go after the remaining frigates over there. That's another frigate defeated. And now it's up to these last two frigates. These frigates are doing everything they can to take care of these fighters. Found some torpedoes coming in as well, which is not great. Definitely still some fighters out here. Seems like most of the main cannons on this battleship are down, so it's just these two frigates. And then the much larger ships in the distance, which are going to be getting closer. There's a lot of missiles over here. I think These are remains of one of the frigates that just got completely annihilated. I actually didn't get to see the explosion, but I think that's all that's left of it. Are there any other frigates left? There's this last one here. This is the last frigate, or the last ship in the Federation's fleet here. Well, here comes the supercarrier and the battleship in the distance over there. This frigate's only gonna last for a little bit longer as the enemies approach. Because the railguns are gonna do everything they can, but I don't think the railguns are gonna actually be enough. Definitely torpedoes coming in. So this frigate's pretty much done for. Oh, there goes its central nacelle. Actually, it's been completely torn in half here. So I guess that's the end of this battle. So the Federation ended up losing, but it's not a complete loss since they did manage to take out a battleship. So we're going to go ahead and return back to the board, and we're going to go ahead and end the video there. Alright, and with the end of that, that should be all the battles for today. Looking at the board here, it appears that the Pirate Empire is slowly getting more control. Actually, they have control over like the entire bottom and right side of the map. There's only 4 quadrants really that are controlled by the Federation and Delta shipyards. It's kind of a mix of both. And it seems like the Federation is trying to move down towards the bottom of the board to attack the Pirate Empire from behind. That might be a really good strategy if they can pull it off successfully. The Pirate Empire can't have fleets everywhere at once, so that could work, but the Federation is going to need more ships, and they're going to need to figure out how to get a shipyard down there, which is going to be really difficult considering the amount of shipyards that are already down there owned by the Pirate Empire. If the Pirate Empire ends up losing a fleet, they could just build a fleet down there. They can then try to push them back. Delta shipyards does appear to be shrinking a bit. However, they are managing to set up a bit of a defense, and they're kind of just grouping their fleets together in a way that's able to help them to survive a lot better. The Federation, I don't really know. The Federation is kind of a tricky spot. In terms of the ships that they can make, I'm actually curious if they can actually bolster up their income to make their own supercarrier, which would make them able to at least stand up a chance against the Pirate Empire. But it's something we'll have to figure out as we get there. If you guys are interested in joining for Season 2, there is a Discord link in the description down below. I hope you all have a great day and take care.